Good morning. Have another day. We are back at it again to do amazing things. And our amazing thing today is multi-digit multiplication. We know that multi means more than one, and digit can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So more than one digit is what we are going to multiply today. On the screen I'm sharing with you, I know the text is small, but you have this assignment. So in Schoology, this assignment is called January, because today is January the 11th, Part 1. January 11th, Part 1. That's the title of this assignment. So make sure that you have that open. If you need it, please let me know in the chat so we can post it and get it to you. Go ahead and open January 11th, Part 1 at this time. Part 1. January 11th, Part 1. I'll give you a second to open that up. Once you open, our amazing lesson today is going to start online. So please make sure that you have part 1 open for January the 11th. I know the words are small, but when you have part 1 open, you can see them on your screen. Let's get started.
It says Maya wants to lay tile on a floor that is 8 feet wide by 24 feet long. The tiles she wants to use are 1 square foot each. How many tiles will Maya need? Okay, so if I'm creating a floor plan for this tiling project, I need to draw a rectangle that is 8 feet wide, or 8 squares tall, by 24 feet long. So let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. So I'm going to do 8 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, I counted correctly. So now I'm going to do 24 squares across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Wait, 1, 2, 2. I missed. Did I count that right? 24 is a lot of squares. That's hard to keep track. There's got to be an easier way. Oh, wait, I know. Let's break it into tens. Because 24 is really just 20 plus 4. Or I could think of it another way as 10 plus 10 plus 4. 10 plus 10 plus 4 gives me 24. So let's try this again. I'm going to make a box that is 8 squares tall by 10 squares wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so that's one group of 10. Let's try another square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And oh, look at that. I almost overcounted. Came pretty close, though. So there, I've got 10 plus 10 plus 4 gives me 24 squares across by 8 squares tall. So that's my total area, okay? Now what I need to do is I got to multiply 24 times 8. 24 times 8. I haven't done that before. Huh. Oh, wait a minute. If this square right here, or this box, technically rectangle, is 10, I can just figure out what 8 times 10 is. 8 times 10 is easy. That's 80. And if that is 8 times 10, well, this would also be 8 times 10. That's 80. And then this box right here is just 8 times 4. Okay? And of course, I know that 8 times 4 is 32. So if I just add those totals together, 80 plus 80 plus 32, That should give me my grand total of total squares or total square foot tiles that would be involved in this flooring project. So let's add those together. 80 plus 80 plus 32. There we go. I'm going to bring down the 2. 8 plus 8 is 16. Plus 3 more, that's going to give me 19. What do you know? It's 192. So Maya is going to need 192 tiles to completely fill in her floor. Okay. Now then, if you hadn't figured out by that little piece of method acting by Mr. Wassman, I was hamming it up a little bit to prove a point. And that is, I can take a large number like 24 and deconstruct it into smaller parts, which will allow me to then multiply those individual parts and then add them all back together. Okay, 24 is 2 10s and 4 1s, or another way of thinking about it is 10 plus 10 plus 4. So I multiplied each of the 10s together to get 80, and then I multiplied the 4 by 8 to get 32, and I added those 3 partial products together to get my total amount. Okay, and that's what I did here. Explained how I figured out how many tiles Maya needed. What did I do? Well, I broke down 24 into smaller chunks, and what I do? Well, I multiplied each part, each chunk, by 8. Divide and conquer, but not literally divide. Division is a concept we'll get into a little bit later. But that's what partitioning rectangles does. If you take a
That ends part 1. So we are going to stop there for part 1. The only thing that you should have finished on part 1, again, is the first sheet where we looked at the tile. Make sure that you have all of the notes that were presented. I'm trying to get to a shot here where you can see it all at one time. There we go. Clearly understand how everything was divided or partitioned. Partition is just another fancy word for divided. How did we break down 24? Very similar, the exact same actually, as expanded form. If we know our numbers in expanded form, we can break them down to a partitioning rectangles. We can break it down by 10s and then by 1s. Make sure that you have these notes. They will be very valuable in part 2. At this time, that concludes this video. Again, I'm going to leave this up for just a moment. You can also pause it to make sure that you have these notes so we clearly understand how the 24 is broken down. Part 2, we are going to use the skill of partitioning rectangles to solve multi-digit, more than one digit multiplication. When you finish, you may go to part 2. Part 2 should be available to you. Go ahead now and click on part 2. January 11th, part 2.